Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Lisa's Coloring Corner. Well, I don't know if you've been hearing about these or not, but Tombow has now come out with an alcohol marker. If you're familiar with Tombow at all, they have had a line of their water-based, or they're actually watercolor markers or pens for quite a while now. But just recently they came out with alcohol markers. So I thought we would unbox these together or unpackage these together and look at them. Maybe I can just unstaple. Nope, because they're glued too. Okay. We'll just cut this off. I am so curious about these to see what these are like. Oh, get a little canvas bag with them. Okay, let's look at this. Aw, Peace, Love, Tombow. Aw, isn't that cute? It's kind of neat. Oh, look at you could color it in. That's cute. Thank you, Tombow. All right. So this is what they look like now. Because these are extremely pricey, I just bought a set of 5. They come in sets of 1. You can buy them individually, which is nice. Sets of 5 or sets of 12. As of right now, you cannot buy the entire set like you can buy the watercolor pens. Which there are in the water-based or the watercolor pens, there are 108 colors now that they came out with their last newest colors and a colorless blender. These are they come in 107 colors plus a colorless blender. So there are a lot of colors to these alcohol markers. So let's take a look at them. And we're going to compare them to a couple of other markers that I have sitting here. And I'm also going to open up my water-based Tombows, and we're going to see what, if any, differences are between the water-based and these alcohol-based. So let's open these up, and then we'll go over the specifics. I suppose it's all taped shut. Oh man. Okay, this is Lisa proof. What in the world? Let me get out my scissors. Maybe I need a knife to get in. Oh, sorry if my head got in the way. Maybe I need a knife to get into this. Where did I put my scissors? Oh. I'm so with it today. Yeah, I'm going to have to go get my knife. Methinks. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, good heavens. So I, of course, bought the purple pack. And again, this is the set of 5. So let's compare the alcohol base to their water base that we have had out for quite a while. Now the first thing you're going to notice, the watercolor ones are water-based markers, because it does say water-based on here. The barrel is black, whereas the alcohol markers, the barrel is a real pale gray. Okay, so that is you're going to be able to immediately see whether it's a water-based or an alcohol-based marker. Oh, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, okay. But other than that, they look pretty identical. The caps are made the exact same way. They are rounded, and then they have this little knob on it to prevent it from rolling. On the side of the marker, you will see this is Tombow ABT, which I guess I never realized that it said ABT on there when I bought these. And the alcohol ones say Tombow ABT Pro. This one says alcohol-based, this one says water-based. Okay, now the other thing that you're going to notice is different is the Tombow water-based pens have their lovely brush tip that I love the brush tips on these, and then they have the fine nib on the other end. However, the alcohol markers have that lovely brush tip. I'm hoping it's going to be the same as what's on the water base, because yeah, I have not looked at these. But then instead of the fine tip, which I wish they would have, they have a chisel tip. Now, because these pens are so skinny, they're so thin, I'm wondering what kind of chisel tip is going to be on here. If it's going to, I don't know if it can put a big chisel tip on here or not, or if it's going to be more of like a highlighter type chisel tip. I guess we'll find out. So let's take off the covers of the brush end. Okay, so we have, here is the water base tip. Here is the alcohol base tip. And I picked a bad color for the water base, didn't I? They are pretty much identical. They're very pointy, I guess is the term. The alcohol tip seems to be just a little bit wider at the base, but they both come to a very nice fine tip, which is what I always liked about the water-based Tombows. Let's look at the other ends. Okay, so again, on the water base, we have this fine nib, which again, I love my fine nibs. But let's look at the chisel nib on the alcohol markers. Oh, they are different. They are different than your typical chisel nib. Can you see that? Let me turn it around a little bit. It comes to a very nice fine tip though, but it almost, I don't want to say that it looks like the chisel tip on a Prismacolor marker, because it's not. Prismacolor chisel tips are very unique and I never cared for them. To me, they were very difficult to color with. Especially for those of you who like chisel tips, those were very, very different. So these aren't quite like that, but they're just a tad different. Maybe a combo of a regular chisel tip and the Crayola Super Tips. I don't know. So we're going to see, we're going to swatch these out. We're going to see how each tip colors. And then we'll kind of compare the brush tip of these alcohol base to the water base. I also do have a couple of other markers here. I got a purple Copic, so we can kind of compare the brush tips to the Copic type of marker. And then to compare the chisel tips, I brought over a Caliart. So let's do some comparisons here. First, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch out the 5 colors, because we got some really pretty colors here for us purple lovers. So I'm going to zoom you in just a bit. Okay, so here is one of the lightest colors. Oh, that's pretty. Very light pale. Now, I was going to mention, just like the water base, there is a color number. Let me get in camera here. A color number here, but there are no names. And I wish Tombow would put their color names on the barrels also, because in order to create a color chart or in order to find out what the actual color name is, you have to go on their website and it will tell you that this P660 is such and such a color name. So yeah, I don't know why they can't put their color names on here. I'm sure they could fit them somewhere, like maybe right up here. I don't know. But yeah, to have the color names on here would be really nice. Like I said, they're also not on, they're water-based either. And again, I wish they would do that. There would be room for it somewhere if they designed it just a tad differently. So here is the next color. Oh, that's pretty. And the brush tip does, as you see, it feathers out very nicely, which is what you like when you are blending your colors together. Here is another color, P633. Oh, that's pretty. Love that one. And we have P636. Ooh, real dark purple. Okay. And finally, we have P606. And there's your typical violet. All right, so aren't those gorgeous? Woohoo! Love them, love them. All right, so I do have this purple from the water-based line. And then I'll take this, I guess this last purple. And we'll kind of compare what these swatchings look like. So here is the water base. And they do feel different. Just putting them down onto paper. The water base, and yeah, there's definitely a difference. And I'm sure it's the properties of the ink, right? There's alcohol in this and there's water in this. So the alcohol based does feel a little smoother than the water base. I also, no, I guess not. These, oh, they are nice. Very nice. Okay, let's put the colors back on here. Make sure I get them on the right marker. Now, one thing I did notice is on the water base, the pens, the cap will fit on the opposite end. Guess what? As many of us like that to do, they don't on these. It comes right back off. So that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, even if you put it this way, sometimes if you turn them around, they'll fit together, but no. No, they don't. They don't park on it, which is, yeah, unfortunate. Okay, so that is the comparison between the other Tombow, the water-based ones. Put that one back. Now let's get out a couple of other alcohol markers and let's compare the brush tip to a Copic. All right, so get out my Copic and get off the right cover here. Okay, so here is your standard Copic marker. Yeah, I might need a little bit cleaning up. Okay, so there's your standard brush tip. Let's compare it to the Tombow brush tip. Very similar. However, as you can see, the Copic is a little bit, how should we say it? It is wider and then at the very end comes to a peak, whereas the Tombows are more cone shaped and they come, you know, slowly up to the peak directly, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that explanation was too accurate, but you can see there is a difference. They both come to a fine tip, however. So let's see again. This is the Tombow. This is the Copic. Now I do have to say, I do think, well, I guess they both do. The Copic feels quite different though. And you can tell the tip is made out of different material. Very different. This feels spongier than this. This seems a little bit softer, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It just from the feel of it, the Copic feels a little bit higher quality than the Tombow, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so let's look at the chisel tips now and compare the chisel tip to a Caliart, because that just seems to be the most popular budget-friendly marker around that has a chisel tip. Okay, so let's look at these. And I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, I'll get in frame here, if you're going to be able to tell on camera the difference. If I turn them slowly, this is your standard chisel. And it's just flat on the sides, you know, and come up to that point. Whereas the Tombow has more of a, boy oh boy, how do you describe this? More of a rounder side that comes up to the chisel, I guess is what you could say. Whereas our other chisels have the real flat sides, you know. The Tombows don't. They're more round on the bottom. So they are definitely different. So let's try out the chisel tips here. So this is our Caliarts. Okay. Now, of course, with the tip, you can get very, very fine lines also, right? That's why a lot of people like the chisel tips, because you can get various different lines. I just showed you two, but you can get in between those also. Now this is the chisel on the Tombow. Okay. And then, of course, you can get extremely fine. Wow. Even finer than the regular chisels. These can get very fine. Now, if we can go, yeah, you can go kind of in between too. Just kind of like your typical chisel. But because, and this is one thing I love about Tombow, is the size of the barrels. They are super long markers. If we look at the Caliart and the Tombow, they are very long, skinny markers. You know, much longer than the Caliart or even the Copic, you know, when you compare the two side by side. So one downfall to that is the Tombows don't fit in a lot of marker cases or pencil cases because they are so long. That's one drawback. The thing that I do like, however, is the thinness of the barrel. These are so comfortable to either write with or color with. You know, if you're using the brush tip, they just, yeah, they're just really, you know, they're just really nice to, and I noticed that when I would color with the water-based ones that I like the thinness of the barrel. Now, regarding how long the ink will last in these, I have no idea because there's really no information out on Tombow's website about that. Tombow actually has a lot of information about these. If you're curious about them, they have a lot of just coloring information in general. But whether the ink in here is going to last as long as, say, a Copic, who knows at this point because they're brand new. The thing that is not good is the fact that these are not refillable and they do not have replacement nibs. Now, bear that in mind when I tell you the cost of these. These are like $6 a piece. So, very comparable to, not that, to a Copic. Matter of fact, that is more than what you can sometimes get your Copics for. I bought a lot of my Copics on Uzak Copic.com, and I got them for $4 something. I know they're higher than that now. I bought mine a while ago. But yeah, so these are comparable in price to the Copics. Now, a Copic is refillable. If you buy a refill, your Copics actually are more budget friendly than your non-refillable markers, because you get like a dozen refills out of one refill bottle that you buy for your Copic, and that's for the sketches. You can buy, replaceable nibs, anything you would need. Once you buy a Copic marker, you're set. That is not the case with the Tombows. So, are they worth the price? I don't know. With them being non-refillable, with, you can't replace the nibs. I don't know. To me, these are atrociously expensive. And given that, maybe that is just because they're brand new. It's a whole new, brand new line for Tombow. Hopefully, maybe in the future, down the road, these will come down in price. But right now, while they are very, very nice markers, I do really like them. There's no way that I can purchase any more of these at this price point. New. And right now, you can only get them in individually, sets of 5 or sets of 12. You cannot buy the entire 100 and, 7 colors plus a colorless blender. You can't buy the entire set as one like you can with the water base. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they did that for a reason, because you'd get sticker shock if you've seen what the entire set would cost. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. But yeah, again, these are comparable in price to the Copics. And like I said, while they're very, very nice, I don't think they're worth that amount of money. And yeah, unless they come down in price, I won't be buying any more. I do have some, I do have 5 really pretty alcohol markers now, though. So, another thing I wanted to point out is I did a search for these on Amazon. And as far as I can see, they're not available on Amazon. I don't believe they're available in any of the craft stores yet. I'm assuming in the future they will be, but because they're so brand new, right now they're only available on the Tombow website, and I will link that down below in case you want to check them out. However, if you do a search on Amazon, because the name of the water-based ones are also Tombow ABT, be very, very careful when you search. If you do a search for Tombow ABT, be very careful that they are the alcohol base. Now, I said, right now they're not out there. But if you do a search, and I think even if you do a search for Tombow ABT Pro, the water-based ones are going to come up. So, yeah, make sure down in the fine print, down in the, when it describes everything, the description, make sure it doesn't say water-based. Because, yeah, you do find them out on Amazon, and it is not these. Like I said, I'm sure in the future these are going to be available everywhere, just like the water-based Tombows are. Once they're out on the market for a while, that they'll be available everywhere. And yeah, I sure hope they come down in price, because they are nice. So that is my review of the brand new alcohol-based Tombow markers. Very, very nice. So I hope you liked watching just a little bit of swatching of the set of 5 that I got. Just looking at what my review, my opinions are of these. It could be very different for the next person. The next person may just absolutely love these and say, oh, they're definitely worth that price. So yeah, if you liked this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to my channel. I hope everybody's having a terrific day. And as always, happy coloring. Bye guys.